Okay.
Well, welcome everybody to our first Zoom Conscious conference call. And it is September
21st,
yeah, 2017. Looking up at my calendar and all the numbers show up. Look at all the numbers, because there is no time or space, it's consciousness. So,
and we want to welcome all of you. I'm Janet, she's Joan. I think if you can see us or hear us, you can tell the difference. So thank you, all of you. We're looking forward to seeing what shows up this time, because we always have these wonderfully profound, deep, and fun experiences together. So let's see, do we need to explain any rules about how to use this equipment? We don't, Joan, because does everybody either see how to mute themselves or raise their hand or something?
did you mute yourself, Diane? Or did I just not unmute you? Ooh, look, you got.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Okay. I had muted myself, but you had muted me also. So
Okay.
we both had to unmute.
Okay, I was just thinking, so it's pretty self-explanatory about how to mute yourself. It's down in the lower left-hand of the screen. I don't know how it works on your phone, but you can also mute yourself with your phone.
Oh, that's right. It is down there in the corner, isn't it? Okay.
It's in the corner of my screen.
Yes. Okay. So there's all kinds of plays to play here. Okay.
The hand little guy is down in that control panel as well.
All right.
Janet, was that
What?
a question? I don't
What?
have. Oh, yeah.
You don't have what?
I don't have a raising hand thing because I'm special.
Oh, yes. Well, we know that, Joan. So we just go around you.
I could be in the Special Olympics.
All right. Okay, everybody. Well, let's access heart. Let's just start there. I think if we can just get ourselves into place. Is everybody done eating or wherever you're at? Just breathe. There's so much going on in the world. So let's just use this time to get present and let the day go. There we go. There we go. So just notice your heart. See if you can feel the beat. See if you hear the beat. And just be filled with gratitude and appreciation that it beats. It is you alive. And then shift into the emotional terrain. And you want to do it from a neutral position, allowing yourself to not be attached to those emotions that are running. All right, I think we've gained another. That's great. Hi, Don.
Hello.
Yes, we're just accessing heart, hon. So just breathe. And someone's going to have to mute because we can hear stuff in the background. Okay. And then noticing the emotional terrain. And notice that that's not you. And you can just go beyond that. And then we get into the core essence of all, where we're all one. The infinite sea of potential, where we are only bits and pieces of light, a little bit of matter, resonances, frequencies, vibrations, and stuff. All our stuff, our stories, all these patterns. And just notice what it's like to just relax in that. No apologies, no defending. Just notice how we're all one. There's the wiggle room. Just allow yourself the wiggle room. There we go. There we go. All right, Joan, what you got, sweetie?
I was noticing, well, actually, the first thing I noticed was when you had us go to the heart and you were saying, notice it beating.
Mm-hmm.
My heart was not beating.
Okay.
It was just a vortex. So then you were talking about, oh, and then the next level, I was like, oh, well, I just got off another call. Through the wormhole. But it does remind me how all of us are going through a transition, a shift here, and we're perceiving it differently. I'm noticing that these areas are changing. Some people are talking about mutation, which I think is the weirdest image to put out. But I think
Yeah.
that our energy system is changing. We're all, going from gasoline powered to Tesla kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. How's everybody doing there?
I have no hope.
Yeah.
I have one person muted. but
Surviving.
You're surviving, Rose?
Yeah. Joan said something about transitioning. And oh, yeah, we've discussed it. It's just going to be surviving for a little bit.
All right. Well, you're now on the West Coast, and that's a different mindset, isn't it?
Well, the other thing, Rose, is that you can have the aspect of yourself that is surviving and have the aspect of yourself that is consciousness that has the bigger picture. Might be a little bit easier to ride the wave.
Yeah.
It would be if I didn't have to carry everybody else, but it's just something that I'm going to have to work through, and I'll work on it, and I'll get through it. It's surviving.
That's a juicy subject. It's like, well,
Yeah.
is that true? Do you carry everyone else?
It's got to have a lot to it. All right. So there's the breath. So notice the breath, guys. It's really deep. One thing we noticed this afternoon in group was how we were all feeling really good out of all the turmoil and everything that's going on, that each of us was more aware of the places where we felt all right. And that was really exciting for all of us. In all this upheaval and all that we've all been going through, that there was more clarity about the parts that felt all right. And I just want to offer that as you do go through what we do go through, is you bring more awareness to the place that you are all right, and yes, I have these things to deal with, and you can still be all right. And what that's like. And a lot of people, and certainly those of us who have family, for instance, that are in distress, it's okay for us to be all right. And how powerful that is to give yourself permission to be in a place different, but in our connection, how they can access that as a strength that maybe they weren't aware of. So just notice the breath. Now, what's showing up for people? Anything that is rattling our cages there that we want to just allow the group to support you with?
I have something different show up every day.
Something different every day?
Yeah.
How exciting!
Oh, I guess so.
Well, what might be something that you could use a different reality with.
Off and on, trying to get a solid night's sleep.
Ah, all right.
Waking up every couple hours last night. Doesn't feel good when I get up.
Are you thinking about anything in particular when you wake up?
Hmm.
Or is it just the body running?
Yeah. I avoid that by listening to the radio or listening to something on my little phone or my recorder.
Okay. So what if it was all right to sleep all night?
Hmm.
Just open up to that possibility.
That would be wonderfully amazing.
All right.
That would feel good. Some nights I'll sleep for 6 hours, some for 7, and some for 2. Depends on what's going on before I go to bed, I think.
Okay. Anyone else having a lot of disrupted sleep patterns?
My husband.
Ah, okay. I'm having disrupted sleep patterns. That's pretty much my norm.
Yeah, me too. What would it be like?
Yeah. I plug in my earbuds, my Pandora, and I listen to comedy, and I set it for, I don't know, 15 minutes, and then I'm out. I never, puts me out. And I do it every 2 hours when I get up. So it keeps my mind occupied enough to just go to sleep. It becomes white noise after a while. Well, let's just notice. What if it was all right for us to sleep?
Big yawn.
Good job, Bridget. What if it was okay to sleep and wake up refreshed?
It's interesting because I find myself looking at ways, and I see it on the internet and so on ways to get a better night's sleep, such as don't eat for 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed, and don't look at TV for 2 hours before you go to sleep, and other little things like that are supposed to help you sleep easier. So I don't know.
Doesn't make a difference, right? Well, what do all of us notice about Diane and her sleep? What can we support her with? It's like somebody's got to rattle Diane and they're trying to wake up something, or they're and it may be almost shamanistic energy, a dancing when they have a rattle or something.
Yeah.
Someone's setting spells or doing something, I don't know. Anybody else notice anything?
That'd be interesting.
What I was noticing was, Diane, that you're highly sensitive to energy, and that energy fluctuations wake you up. What's the environment that are you in a house in a neighborhood? Are you condo?
I'm in an apartment, and for the most part, it's really quiet at night. I have a lot of space. There's somebody above me, and sometimes they'll flush a toilet or something. But I don't know that the noise bothers me so much. Some neuropathy in my feet. Sometimes my legs will bother me, or sometimes I feel like I have to get up and pee.
Yeah, I wasn't seeing it as a physical energy, but more like just psychic energy, and your sensitivity is picking up on frequencies on a higher level now.
Could be.
I mean, for me, I tune into people in different time zones.
Yeah.
It's 4:15 in the morning in Madrid, but you know. So,
I'll have to check that out because I'm not always, if it disturbs me, I'm not always aware of what it is that's disturbing me.
yeah. So it might be picking up on something somebody else is having.
Yeah.
And it may or may not be within your apartment building, or it might be just within your sphere of influence. So
Yeah, I think sometimes when I talk to a friend and they're having difficulties, and I talk late in the evening, I have a hard time sleeping.
yeah, you carry it over. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like to do energy work late at night because
Yeah.
it just keeps buzzing. Though I'm working on people all night long. I have no doubt about that. Were you saying something, Rose? Did you want to say something?
I was on mute and I was yelling at my son. I'm so sorry.
Is that what that green box means? Mute and yelling at son. Okay, I'll have to remember that one. Oh, thank you. So, well, here's something fun to try then, Diane. So picture yourself in your bedroom. And is it a place to sleep?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I do in there.
Okay, and so notice your comfort was sleeping in that room.
Hmm.
Do you feel yourself going to sleep? Or do you feel tension about it?
It's interesting because sometimes at night, I know I'm tired and ready to go to bed, but I don't want to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's the room, sweetie.
Could
So
be.
let's just clear the energy here a bit. Let's get you in your pink bubble here. And in the pink bubble, you're in harmony with your body and outside energies. And just notice if you can
Mhm.
be that. And then see that going in. Oh, there's something about your bathroom that triggers it. And then go into your bedroom. And just notice if that maintains itself or if it starts to leak.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Well, in the bubble that you feel you're in harmony with your body and energies and you can relax. Sleep comes when you can relax. You have to be able to relax and sleep. So notice what that feels like where you're sitting maybe right now or in that comfortable chair in your living room where it might be. Feel that. And then as you walk down your hallway to your bedroom, there's something about the bathroom that's starting to create some issues there. And then by the time you get to the bedroom, it kind of feels like the energy's leaking out of that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So like Joan was talking about, there might be energetics in the building that are going on. But just so let's reinforce the state. You want to feel in your chair where you feel good. You want to feel that in your bedroom.
Yeah. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that or been aware of that.
Yeah. So just notice that. Because a lot of us want to avoid sleep because we don't like our environment. And it's really not that we want to avoid sleep. It's the environment we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
So just notice that, what it would be like if you felt great in that bedroom.
Yeah, it could be the bedroom or just the fact of going to bed.
Yes. How about going?
That going to bed is somehow,
Yeah.
there's some old
Got some charge to it.
Yeah.
I had this experience just before getting on this call, and I played this little game with this person that I call the Skybox, and it was pretty profound what she noticed when she noticed her situation from these different levels or different layers.
Yeah.
So when and I use a football metaphor, which I don't really know football, but it's most of us experience our life on the playing field, like we're the football players. So we experience ourselves being battered on the playing field. So that would be like for you, and that would be being influenced by your immediate environment or not feeling safe or comfortable in your bedroom. And then the next level up is the skybox. So that's the viewpoint of being up in the expensive seats where, you know, you've got a glass of champagne and chocolate colored strawberries, and then you can look down at the field and get a bigger perspective. And it can be quite calming and reassuring to have a bigger picture of what's going on. And then I'm racing people through this right now, but the level above that is the Goodyear blimp. And from that perspective, you can not only see the football field and your skybox, but you can see the entire arena. And that can give a tremendous sense of peace and well-being because you're experiencing it as consciousness. And so then you can encompass, you know, the part of you that is falling asleep, the part of you that is thinking about falling asleep, and then the greater part of you that can just hold space. So that way, what I'm noticing for myself when I'm playing more with consciousness is all that other stuff just, it's like when Janet brings us into heart space. It's not an issue because you're still in the same, you're still in your body and in the room, but you're in a different frequency within it so that the conflict doesn't bother you. See what I mean? You're following along. So
my mind was going to bedtime as a kid, where I shared a bedroom with my sister, and we were in twin beds, and she has always triggered me. She loved to tease, and
not a safe place, right?
Yeah, it wasn't then, so I don't know if I carried that over or what, but that popped into my head.
Great awareness. So go back to that, and what if that could be different? You can't change your sister, but you can change how you feel okay and safe. And she may not have been mean about it. She just might have been unaware, and that's maybe the way siblings are. Yeah.
Well, my mom seemed to notice it, and when we were teenagers, they finished off a room in the basement and moved my sister down there. And I didn't know that my mother did that to give me more peace.
Wow, great. Okay, so
I have to give that to myself now.
Right. So it's a matter of being in the present moment or being in the present time.
Yeah.
And the other thing I find when I shift to operating as consciousness, all the old stuff like that just dissipates. It becomes a non-issue. So it's a lot easier than instead of processing the layers like we're kind of doing now, or going back to the past or any of those things. It's you're in a different experience.
Oh, okay.
The only downside with that is that it can be so expansive that it wakes you up. So that's, this feels really good.
Sounds like that's what happens to you.
Yeah, I think I get a little bit too inspired, but yeah. The other thing is my husband wakes up in the middle of the night and he does his Buddhist prayers, and it's like, you're fucking praying for the Caribbean now, aren't you? You know, it's like, because I'll feel that, they're all about, breathing in the suffering and breathing out compassion or whatever, and I'll suddenly feel the weight of the world because he's doing his practice.
Mm.
So just notice now the idea of going to sleep.
Mm.
Yeah, there you go. That's you got some shifting going on there. It feels like we're getting a nicely deep place, Joan. For all of us, nice. What's important is beware that we can have all these perspectives at the same time. They don't have to be one or the other, right? That with consciousness, we're seeing from here and we're seeing from there, we're seeing in another direction, all at the same time. And we're just choosing which mechanism. So, There we go. Mm. Feels nice. So, should we take a few minutes and focus our energies around from to
How about,
connect,
how about seeing if anybody else wants to raise their hand about something?
Yes.
right?
Then other people.
Well,
know.
Rose is.
I muted her because I could hear her talking to her kids. I'm gonna unmute
Oh, okay.
her. There she is.
Does someone else got something there they want to bring up now?
There's Rose, Dawn, or Bridget. Is it Dawn?
Yeah, Dawn. Mm-hmm.
Take the question mark off his name.
Yeah, I see that.
Like that way I didn't have to decipher phone numbers.
I am here. I just had mute on.
Dawn, is there anything that's caught your attention that you'd like us to give you some support with?
Oh, gobs of money.
Fortune.
No, it's going well. Thank you.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you with
Too
us.
much money bothering you, Don?
I beg your pardon?
Is having too much money bothering you? Do you want to help distribute
Yeah, I
it?
don't know what to do with all of it. Gee. No matter how far I throw it, it keeps coming back. Thank you for letting me in on the call.
Yeah.
No problem, sweetie.
Well, you know, the thing about money is it's amazing how it just seems to be an ever-present issue for everyone. And when I look at it, it's I think that our purpose here is just really to create and to manifest. It's all just about expressing ourselves as consciousness and form, and we have different ways of doing that. And you can get really caught up that money is the avenue to create with, or that you can't have what you want unless you've got gobs of money. So then the focus becomes the gobs of money rather than the thing you want to create.
Right,
And
money is just something you want because you want something else.
Yeah, right. It's the barter. Barter.
And it's amazing because when you focus on the thing or the feeling behind the thing, then it flows, it shows up. Either the money flows for it or it shows up without the big tax consequences that you thought you'd have to have.
When you think about it, what are you going to do with the money? You're going to trade it in for something else. It isn't the money you want, it's what you can do with it.
Right.
Good job.
I'm trying to remember, it was the guy who wrote Everything I Learned Was in Kindergarten. What's his name? He said, because he got very famous late in life, and he said, you know, it's like with money, it's like cooking. It's like all you really need is like a cup of gravy. And suddenly you have gallons and gallons of gravy.
Like sourdough starter. Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, sourdough starter is more my piles of things. It's you clean up your house and then they just grow overnight.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
If I get a cup of money, will I get gallons and gallons?
Can multiply.
I did a fun little exercise once where I connected to the Deva of money, and because I know somebody who's a money coach and she works with archetypes of money, And I was really surprised because I didn't have a preconceived notion. It was just like, oh, I could just tune into what the overarching entity to do with money. And it showed up as the ocean.
Hmm.
And it just made me realize that abundance is everywhere. And it's really was very impassive. The ocean really doesn't have an opinion. You know, it's there, it's not there, it flows in, it flows out. It'll drown you.
It'll support you.
Right. So I think it's our ethics about money that trip us up.
Yes, we do have them, don't we? So just allow,
Can I ask?
yeah, go ahead.
Are we allowed to ask to surround other people with positive and uplifting energy?
Sure.
Are you asking for Marco to be in a pink bubble?
Well, he could be one of them, but mostly the other person that I live with currently, Victoria.
Oh, your mother or grandmother? She's your grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Janet's good at directing that.
Well, it always starts with us. All right. Everything is in us. And so as we hold this space in us and we feel how deepening it is, because that's what I've been really very aware of, is that you don't have to do anything. Just notice in yourself the quiet, the stillness, the potential. And however you notice that, and then allow it beyond yourself, because we're the ones who construct that we don't affect others. And of course we do. We're all one. So as you allow yourself to recognize your own depth, your own wonder, your own infinity, your own divinity, your own consciousness, that plays out. And so this is what we've been doing in group, and what, for those of you who have family in places that are under siege or underwater or whatever the dynamics may be, you're here, they're there, and there is no time or space. So just noticing yourself, noticing that you're okay, noticing your own stillness, your own quiet, and how that is also there. Because we know from the science part of things that in all vibrations resonate out, ripple out. So as those ripples of what you are playing out, allow others to experience that. They're going to anyway. What you're asking for is an acknowledgement from them that they get it. So that can be about you, that can be about them, but that's up to them. They're going to interact with your ripples. So as you're less agenda, as you are more centered in yourself as consciousness, just notice what happens. And allow those across the seas, across the land, to feel that also. Now, one thing that happens is that you can track a sense of shock. We've been doing this with people in Houston and in those locations there. How important it was to get people out of shock. Because you react when you're in shock, or you don't react, but you don't respond. You're already in a triggered state. So in order to make good choices, and choices can be good, bad, however you want to differentiate it. In order to make more choices available, you don't want to be in a reaction state. So just notice in your breath, you can feel this tightness there. So just allow yourself to be aware of it. This is how we all serve. And it doesn't matter whether it's in our house, or it's across the street, or it's across the country. There is no time or space. And everyone we co-create. This is the challenging part always. We have no control over others. We have poor control over ourselves. So why should we expect so much of them when we have a hard time with our own? So just notice, what is it you offer the world? Point of clarity, point of love, whatever those things might be. And then just notice the ripples starting to come back. What is it we extend outward? What is it we receive? It's all action of the heart. When we're upset, when we're unclear, when we're agitated, that's what goes out into the world. And sometimes you have to go really deep in order to go very high. What you got, Joan?
Well, this always happens, like on the radio show when you bring us into heart space. I got nothing. There's no issue. So this big, raft with a Mai Tai floating down.
That's the best place to observe the world from, I think.
It really, it's so, you were talking about your group this afternoon in Houston, and we were looking at what Hurricane Maria is doing and all that, and just phenomenal stuff. And on one hand, it feels wrong to be detached from it. It feels wrong to be detached from the healthcare drama. And yet there's this other aspect that coexists. When I did this, I just flashed on during 9/11. I was on Vashon Island, and Vashon Island's normally on the flight path from SeaTac. So it was a beautiful sunny day and just amazingly quiet. And at the same time, you knew this horrendous thing was happening. And it just was, so it was kind of, at the time, it would have been interpreted as a message from the universe that, all is very, very well. And even though some people aren't experiencing it as very, very well, but we can access within ourselves, like you were helping us. It's that there's this greater part of ourselves that exists regardless of the external turbulence, and it can make it easier just to navigate the.
Well, I think it's hard sometimes for us to validate the unseen, like we're talking with Diane and her ability to feel all these different energies. Those are real. Science will tell you they're real. There's the Schumann resonances, and they've labeled all these things. And so, our relationship to nature and what's happening to us is all about not entrapment. What was the word? What?
Entanglement?
Yeah, entanglement and entrainment, how frequencies match up with each other. So we are in this political place where tremendous upheaval is going on, and weather around us is relating. It's not so much I don't think it's reacting. I think it's responding because it's matching, you know? And all this turbulence, and you look at how people in Mexico are being exposed to really challenging issues with us and where they are and all that. And then you start to see earthquakes all of a sudden. I mean, all these
The
different
earthquake they just had came right after they had an earthquake drill.
right, right. So it's not one, it's,
whole panel.
yeah. So, all these things that are going on, we are affecting each other. And they may seem distant, and they're not, because there's no time and space for us. So it behooves us as we do this work to be a point of calm, because we are calm. And all that's stirred up, what have we all been talking about these last couple of years, right? And now we're kind of getting through it, I think, the other side of it. And we're all at different places with that. But this is an invitation to let it go. Let us get beyond what we think things are and how we feel things are, because that's that human quality, and invite ourselves as consciousness to really, really show up without agenda. If you have no agenda, what is the hell is that, to have no agenda, to just be? I mean, I doubt there are many of us who know what that is. But that's really what you're looking as consciousness to experience. I have no agenda. So whatever happens, oh, isn't that interesting? And I find myself more in that place of relating to information. I'm not getting distracted by all my emotions and what I think has to happen here in my judgments. It's really coming from a place of, well, wow, isn't that interesting? Not what I would choose, but, go more power to it, right? And if something ugly happens, then that's ugly, and it's much more than that. So maybe what we're looking for is that place in ourselves that says, I invite it all. And what comes in acknowledging the all. I don't know, it's just can't hear you, Diane, you're muted.
If there is entrainment,
Uh-huh.
and we talk about going to that peaceful place just within ourselves, does that change and affect what other people are feeling?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and where they are, what space they are in?
Now, whether they recognize it or not, maybe is up to the individual. I think that's very much what their purpose and what they find themselves to be about. But you can't, if you can feel somebody's upset, look how easy it is for you to feel somebody's upset, right? How is it just as easy to feel their joy? It may register different to you, but it's still energy you're experiencing. And we prefer one over the other. So if you're aware that you're experiencing the information around you, if they had that awareness, what would that be like? Because it's what you think is how it dictates what you see. So it's not just us against them, it's all of us, right? And we all know there are people that are not happy. Does that mean I have to be unhappy? Does that mean I have to convert them? Does that mean, what the hell does that mean? It means absolutely nothing.
Perspective I have is that and we are all consciousness, that there are some aspects of consciousness that are being not happy in this moment.
Yeah.
As consciousness, we're all connected. And
yeah.
At that level, it's all joy and ecstasy. So the thing I realized a long time ago is sometimes when you're trying to help somebody because they're miserable, and then you try to give them helpful suggestions, And they'll say, but no, my problem's much bigger than that. and I realize is that to consciousness, this is all just, it's all just a creation, and it's equally as creative to have terrible things as it is to have wonderful things. So what I was doing when I was offering helpful suggestions is that I was invalidating their creativity. And sometimes just validating, wow, it's really capable to have created all this disaster. Very, very capable. It makes them happy.
We're always trying to make people feel better. I have a feeling everybody on this phone line loves to make people feel better. And that in itself is an issue.
Including me. I want to make me feel better.
Yeah, because that means you're already in a mindset, right? And for the best of reasons, and there's nothing wrong with it, you just have to understand how you've set stuff up. I like to make people feel better. It means I'm going to be around people that I maybe can make feel better, or I'm going to be in issue with making them feel better. So when we let that go, and that's what's a challenge for caregivers and people that take care of others and help others, is how to keep that clear. So where it comes from a place of just because, not because you have to. That's a different place.
Well, what if you came from a place of, like, you can acknowledge that they're unhappy, and you can acknowledge that maybe there's nothing you should do about it or could do about it, but to just send them with love and light?
Sounds good to me. How's that working?
Oh, for me, I feel like it makes me feel better. And
I'm sure. Yeah.
I feel like it makes an impact, whether they realize it or not, because sometimes I'll see later on in the background something good happens for them the next day.
It's how we want to express ourselves. We're all the divine. We're all the infinite. We're the all.
So
Consciousness allows for all. Yeah.
here's the thing, Rose, is Victoria is the divine. Victoria is consciousness.
Yeah.
Victoria is creating, she's very capable in creating her reality.
Right. And it's not for me, you know, when I get in those situations where I meet those experiences and those people that embody those kinds of experiences. And so you see, there's all these different layers of awareness happening there. You know, I celebrate, oh my God, you know, that creativity part that John was talking about, their creative inaction, right? Their consciousness, and whether it's Donald Trump or whoever it is, he's still consciousness at play. And I can celebrate to the degree I can appreciate as consciousness the creativity involved. Doesn't mean I personally have to like it, but I can go, wow, you're really working that hard, aren't you? And how am I supposed to interact with this? I get to choose how I want to deal with that. And what do you bring me? And that's where we each are at. That's what's so exciting about right now. It's exhausting, I think, on a lot of levels, but because it's making us aware how much energy we spend in being unclear, right? I don't know. Who knew this was enlightenment, right? I thought there was supposed to be bells and whistles or something. And there are in my world, right? The fact that I can have an ache and also smile, you know, and laugh at myself as I'm having my physical issue, I think says a lot about how I've experienced my world. And I have less of the stuff I don't like. I keep allowing for the good stuff to show up. So what do we allow, everybody? Do we allow the good stuff to show up? Do we need more one more good thing a day to show up, would that make a difference? Where's our tipping point? We all have different tipping points. And what is it like to really revel in being miserable and being really angry and being really uncombative? You know, I mean, give it your all. Get it out. I don't have to. Doesn't linger.
I do a lot of artwork, and there was a point at which I tried to make the ugliest thing I could ever make.
How'd you do?
Oh, it was a struggle.
But did you know what it wasn't? You knew when it wasn't the ugliest thing?
Yeah, there's something about difference between ugly and scary, and it's an interesting word. What is ugly?
Yeah, right. Because you can be absolutely charming and not be pretty, right? Is that what ugly is? It's not pretty.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a beauty in ugliness too.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's like, oh, it's my creation. I love it.
Oh my God, I love this conversation.
Okay. It's real ugly, is it, Rose?
I just think that this is a glorious conversation. This is the kind of conversation I want to hear everybody have, because it's so much more than just two-dimensional, because you're looking at it from 6 different points of view of beauty and ugly, and you're talking about the contrast of behavior and the contrast of physically being ugly, things of that sort, sounding, like what is that? And then you're asking all these questions, and everyone has all these unique answers, and it's just a really big buildup of ugly and beautiful, but they're all both good things. It's nice.
Thank you. Thank you for being part of this. Yeah. We don't have conversations, do we?
I used to play a game when I taught psychic meditation classes, and I would give everybody a little thing of Play-Doh, and they could, they would have a few minutes to play with their Play-Doh and make their little things and all, and they'd look at it and admire it, and I'd say, okay, now squash it.
No.
Now make something else, and how attached we get to our creations, and then we aren't, so I just moved the subject from admiring something or loving something because it is your creation and it doesn't matter. I mean, a newborn infant's creation is poop, poop or oh, you're so creative. So, but the thing is, back to Play-Doh, is, we'll hold on to our creations so long and we don't destroy them or let them go, so then we have these moldy creations sitting around in our lives.
Because it's something you created. Our attachment is the fact that you made something.
This is my lump.
Oh, that's a really good point. I love it. I can just see everybody you're cruel. Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty good. Well, we have a few more minutes left. Is there anything anyone would like some input or wants to share before we wrap her up?
Well, thank you for coming. That's what I want to say. This is I learned a lot. I like this one.
Oh, good.
And this is being recorded both audially and visually. So, Rose, if you this will be posted on the website.
Okay, Diane, what is that?
This is one of my creations.
Oh, I was going to say, are you shielding your 6th chakra?
These are some little paintings that I did.
Cool.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
I don't know if you can see it in the light.
No, on your forehead worked. We just didn't know what we were looking at.
So this will be posted on the website. I'm not certain how I'm going to update the email that goes out to everybody. I don't think I'll put all the recordings, like you said. I won't put all the recordings on that. I'll put a link to the website to be able to listen to past recordings. And also for this, you'll be able to access the video part of it as well.
Okay.
So you'll have a choice. You can listen to it on your phone if you want, or you can watch it on your phone.
Okay. And how do we feel about all that? Is that all right with everyone? that that information's out there. I think it's so glorious that we're all willing to show up.
And it's not out there to the general public. It's just out there to the people who've registered for this
Right.
particular call. So it's not like it's posted on the website. But
So, and just being free to express and talk about things, share about things, sense things, feel things in a way that perhaps you haven't or don't do otherwise. Because sometimes we can feel isolated with our stuff. So thank you all so very much for joining us.
I'm so glad we had this.
Take over. All right, everyone. Enjoy life, all right? And we'll look forward to hearing from you next time. And
Trails to you.
Happy trails. Me again. Enjoy life, everyone. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. Night night, Bridget.
Yeah.
Night, Dawn.
Night, night, Dawn.
And stop
Okay.
Stop the recording. Let me do it.